Hey guys, this is Coach Adrian with Blitz Kids. What I wanted to do today is take it a step further from our Maten 1s and Maten 2s and go into Maten 3s and over. So the reason why I'm going to clump up the Maten 3 and Plus is because one, they have only that on chesskid.com, but also whenever you calculate plus 3 moves ahead, then you can calculate as far as you need to. So what we're going to do is just go, again, use our process of elimination. We're going to, highlight those squares in our head, and we're going to try and take them away. And one of the key things that I said in the last video was that what you want to do is look at the key escape squares that the enemy king can go to, and then you want to take away those first, because if you allow them to get to a key square and they're able to venture out with more possibilities, then that's not good. So you want to trap your opponent's king in a corner, and you want to keep trapping them more. You don't want to allow them out of that box. Okay, so here we can definitely see that there's some type of back rank mating pattern here. It's kind of a tongue twister, and we can see that it's going to take us a little while to actually take away this h7 square. So that's the key here. It's just maneuvering the bishop, and it all has to be forceful. So our safe square is h8 and h7. All right, and what we're going to do first is play rook to c8, which takes away h8. But then the problem here with bishop to g8, which is our only check, the problem is that now the bishop is blocking the rook to protect the h8 square. So after bishop g8 check, king to h8, now bishop to f7, and now bishop to g6, and this will be mate because it takes away the h7 and the h8 square. All right. So let's move on to the next one. All right, so we have bishop to c4 by our opponent. All right, so the safe squares, f8, e7, e8. All right, that's a lot of squares. A lot of squares. So go ahead and take a moment. If you guys think that you can figure this one out, that would be good. All right, so here in this position, what you want to do is take away the e8, the e file, and this bishop kind of gives it away because now it's attacking the rook on f1. So we want to play rook to e1. And what that is going to do is force the king to the f8 square, and that is the corner that we want the king on. Because if we don't do that, let's say we play like rook d8 check, because there's lots of checks here. We have rook to d8, rook e6, and then there's rook to e1. And then that's all of the checks. The knight can't check, the pawns can't check. But if we play, let's say, a simple move like rook f2. Let's just pretend we don't even check the king. Well, now the king can move to this e7, and that's another key square that we got to take away, because as soon as it gets to e7, it has an additional square of d6. And if I move the rook, this white rook, off of this rank or file, you're going to give additional squares to your opponent, and you don't want to do that. So what we're going to do first is play rook to e1 check. And I'll say rook d8 is pretty silly in hindsight, because king takes d8. And if you play rook to e6, this is silly too, because the bishop on c4 can capture that rook. So the bishop is guarding that square. So we just want to follow general rules of thumb, which are, if you have 2 pieces or 3 pieces, bring in more pieces. Bring in all of the pieces into the attack. All right, so rook to e1 check. The bishop blocks. You just recapture. And now f8. Now once we get to f8, this just, notice the f7 and the e7 square are covered. So this, you can imagine 2 black pawns here. And if 2 black pawns were there, then we can create some form of back rank mate. So here we go, rook to d8. All right. So I know these are a bit challenging, guys, but I know that you can see all of these mates, all right, if you just try and calculate. So I'm gonna go ahead, let you guys, excuse me, let you guys pause the video. Checkmate in 3 for black. So it is black to move here. All right. So this one really looks like a mate in 2, but there is an in-between move that your opponent can throw in. So the first thing that I want to notice is that my queen is under attack, the checks. We also want to look at this safe squares, right? So G1, F2, and now we look at the checks. We have queen takes E3 check, queen takes C1 check, and no checks with the rooks, no checks with the bishops. So it looks like we're good. All right, now we look at these checks individually to see which one will take more of those squares. And immediately, oh, also we had to take away H1. I forgot about that square. So immediately what I like to do is look at the E3 square, because that takes away F2 and G1. Now the good thing is we don't have to checkmate in one move. We have 2 additional moves after our first move. So we just want to make sure that we're making progress. So after queen takes E3, can you guys figure out what's wrong with this move? Because it does look like a really good move. There's a big problem here. All right, yes. If you found queen takes E3, then yeah, you are right. This queen cannot capture here on E3 check because our opponent can recapture. So what we're going to do here is look at our other check, which is queen takes C1. And I'll even give you guys a hint. Now, whenever you're playing a chess game and you don't see the checkmate all the way through, but you definitely know the first move is a good move, play it anyway. And this one comes with check, because if you play it anyway, then you can, one, see clearly, more clear in the next position, in the next turn, and then 2, it's a good move. It's not hurting your position. So I know if I was following the rule, capture free pieces here, or hanging material, I would immediately just capture the rook on C1. All right, and I don't really have to see further ahead, but I just want to let you guys know I do see it all the way through. So I will prove that by calculating all the way through. So after queen takes C1 check, the opponent cannot go to G1 or H1 because I take away those squares, and I captured a free rook. The king would have to go to F2, but then the queen and the bishop, the queen is right here, the queen and the bishop right here are connecting on F1. So my queen would go to F1, check, mate. The only problem is that it's a mate in 3, so that means my opponent can insert this rook defense. So here I just play queen takes D1, and queen F1. All right. So I really want to try and aim for maybe 1 or 2 more problems. Let's see. Black to move, checkmate in 3. I'll give you guys a hint. Pause your video if you don't want a hint right now. The hint is, this is a form of back rank mate. Good luck. All right, in this position, it's fairly simple and straightforward. We look at all the checks, but there's only one. So you know you have to calculate all the way down the rabbit hole. So queen takes F2, check. King to H1, forced. And now a nice queen sacrifice. If you saw this, congratulations, you're a really good chess player. Or you're a really bad chess player because you blundered your queen. No, I'm kidding. After rook takes, now we play rook takes F1, and that is checkmate. Let's definitely do one more. I'm feeling kind of pumped. All right, so this one is really interesting because we've been over this pattern before, so we can see there's reoccurring patterns with these mate in 1s, mate in 2s, mate in 3s, and that goes for tactical puzzles too. Like, even if you're not checkmating your opponent, you're gonna start seeing repetitious patterns in the future, because you're practicing and honing in on those skills, you're going to be able to see these patterns from far away. It doesn't even necessarily have to be mate in 3. It could be like, hey, 6 moves down the line, I have some cool tactical trick with the queen and rook fork, or the royal fork, and yeah. So you get better and better as you practice, and that's why I want you guys to start off with mate in 1s and the basics, and then go to the mate in 2s if you haven't already, and then finish off with these. And then we'll be talking about some tactical themes next week. All right, so here, while I was rambling, this is a form of checkmate with the 2 rooks. So here we have rook a7 check, we have rook to g6 check, we have rook to d7 check, rook to g8 check, and if we don't have good pattern recognition, we would have to go through all of these one by one. Now we can get rid of the silly rook g6 and the silly rook g8 immediately, because then you just capture and you're sacrificing material for no reason. Now, rook a7 and rook d7, there's only one right move. If rook a7 and the king ventures up the board, you don't want your opponent to escape to those key squares that give them additional safe squares. You want to keep them in a box or push them against the wall. And here, that's exactly what we're going to do with rook to d7. Notice how the rook on the 6th rank is taking away the f6, g6, h6 square. That's exactly what we need to do. So we play rook to d7 check. The king goes to f8. The king could also went to g8 or h8. They're both the same thing, because now we insert rook to a8 check. But oh, don't forget about that rook to b8. And now we play rook takes b8, checkmate. And so that is it for today. I hope to, provide another instructional video soon. Let me know what you guys think of this one. And I know there's no mate in 3 homeworks, but try for your best whenever you're solving those puzzles, because the calculation is the same exact thing. You're gonna apply it by calculating. All right, so good luck. Bye, guys.